Glad you could join me. And today I am going to be doing some digital artwork. I haven't done this for a long time now, and I'll be quite honest with you, I've never been fantastic at it. So what I'm hoping today is that we get something of a decent picture, and it's not going to be too much colour, it's going to be mostly grey. And this is a technique that I use to do backgrounds whenever I try and draw something. So for some reason my middle mouse click isn't working, so I'm just going to have to scroll the old-fashioned way. So let's start off we're going to have a little bit of a grey-blue colour, I would say. If you're looking for specific colours, I'm afraid I can't help you there, so we're just going to basically go with what we know. So a bluey grey colour is the best description I'm afraid you're going to get in this case. And we're going to go ahead and create ourselves a sky. So I'm using the sponge to get a nice sort of uneven effect, cloudy effect if you like. So let's just draw this in now. So we've got our base colour. So we've got our sky. Okay, darken it up a little bit there. And we're now going to give ourselves a lighter grey colour. We'll shrink the sponge a little bit for this, and we're going to create some wisps of cloud. Now the clouds will kind of form a pattern across the sky, rather than just be individual clouds floating about. But create a kind of a pattern, so to speak. There aren't many patterns in nature. The idea that the cloud is going across the sky like so. There, I think that's kind of a good cloud pattern. We'll shrink it some more, we'll add a bit of white. And remember to do circular patterns, because if you do lines it's not going to look right. So adding a bit of white to the cloud patterns gives us a bit more depth. There's me making patterns of dots now, so let's get rid of those. So now we've got a bit of depth to our clouds. And then we're going to find our light blur tool. Opacity is down a little bit because we don't want to overdo it. Going to fluff them up. We'll put them clouds nice and fluffy. There we go. Okay. So next we're going to have ourselves a horizon. And it's going to be a distant horizon. That's the important thing here. It needs to be distant for us to get those layers in. And when I speak about layers as well, I am aware of being able to do layers. They're up here, but for the sake of speed, I'm not going to go into layers today, so I'm just going to do it on a single layer, as if I was painting in real life, which I hope to do one day. I am waiting on some paints, and maybe in the future we'll have a video there. So, what we're going to have for our colours, I do have a reference picture here to my side, so I will be referring to it. It's a picture that I've done myself, it's not something I'm copying, it's something I've already done. So I am copying, but I'm copying myself. Sorry, I'm rambling now, let's get on with this. Okay, so we want a nice light colour because as it's in the distance. We don't want too much in the way of detail. So just going to use the old paintbrush because we don't want anything even. That might be a bit too light. A little bit darker. So we have a nice uneven effect. Because I don't know about you, but I've never seen a horizon that's perfectly straight. So lots of bumps and dips and steps and all sorts going on here. So there we go. Let's create a little bit of a raised section in the middle. You know what? I still think that is a little bit too light. So the beauty of digital painting is that you can just chop and change things as often as you like. No problem. If you don't like it, Control Z is your friend. So there we go, we have a horizon. And now we're going to use our regular square tool. And we're going to create a rudimentary shape of a building of some description. So we've got some kind of square building here with a tower standing up nice and tall there. Kind of comes to a point at the top. Again, rudimentary shape doesn't have any detail as of yet. And then we'll have a sloped roof. And then some more small rectangular buildings. Okay. I think that works. It'll do. And then we want... which tool should we use? I think we'll just use the circular tool for this one. There's some indications of something on the horizon. Doesn't have to be clear as to what it is. Trees, maybe? More houses? Doesn't really matter. Just to break up the horizon. The squiggles doesn't really matter. Yeah, that'll do. Nothing of consequence. And then we're going to have a darker colour. And we are going to... maybe that's a bit too dark. Control Z for the... get rid of that. And then we'll just add a little bit of depth. Not too much. Again, nothing too drastic. Something down on the bottom here. There. And again with these. I must have to make note of where the light's coming from. That's something I always forget to do. And then I have light from multiple directions, so it's fair to say that our light is coming from the right on this occasion. Okay, right now we need to find our blur tool. Ah, there it is. Turn the opacity up a bit because I just want it to have a bit stronger in effect this time. So now we're going to take away the defined lines that we've created. Again, it's on the horizon. Your eyes aren't that good that you can make out clarity in the distance like that, so you need to break that up to create the illusion of distance. So there we go. Just sort of blend the colours together. One of the downsides to digital painting I find is not being able to create several colours in one stroke. You have to add them individually, then you don't get the randomness that you desire. So we're going to turn the opacity down, turn it up a bit on the size, and then just there. Right, there we go. We have our first tier layer. Well, I don't really want to call it, but our first. Let's call it our first layer. It is all on the same layer, but let's just presume that it's not. So, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get a slightly darker colour. Maybe not too dark. That kind of level, not too bad. And we're going to create a. Oop, I'm on the wrong tool. Another tier, plane, that's the word I'm looking for, isn't it? Not airplane, but spelt differently. A sloping landscape here. And another one. It could be kind of the same one, but we'll see how it goes. Can't remember how I did it the first time round, so we'll play it by ear. So just a strip of darker grey. Better fill that area in really, hadn't I? Yeah, oops. Get rid of that last stroke there. And this one is just going to be trees basically, so we're going to grab this tool, which is very handy. I'm going to go darker still, and we're going to create the effect of bushes and trees using this one. In fact, darker still, I think. Gives us a nice tree line. And we'll make it just smaller. And my reference picture, a lot of this will end up getting covered up anyway, so we're not going to be worrying too much. Just make sure we take away the base of these buildings, because otherwise they just seem to be floating on nothing. But even if we wanted to, where are we? Make a few small trees, that's not anywhere near the right size. A couple of trees. As we all know, trees need friends, so better to have two than just the one. I'll stick these trees over here. Instead of blurring the landscape, we'll use trees and scrub, basically. In fact, having said that, we will just take the edge off that line there. There we go. Well, we will just take away some of the detail that we don't need. There we go. So then we want go for our regular circle. It's the easiest to use, really. We'll have a nice pale whitey colour, and we're going to use our stabilising tool so that I can get some straightish lines. I'm going to use some of these to create paths, crop tracks, I don't know. Take that off, go back to our light blurring tool, take the edge off it. That could be a path, it could be anything really. And then we're going to create some more trees. In fact, we will use that colour. Drop a tool. Put some actually, we are using the wrong tool now. We want to be using our special bush creating tool. It's one of my favourites because it just gives you a lovely effect and it's so quick and simple. If anybody is interested, the program I'm using is Critter. It's free, which is my favourite price ever. And yeah, I highly recommend it. It does pretty much everything you need it to do, and it doesn't cost you a penny. Okay, so so we've created our second tier now. And we are going to create another one, which is closer to the foreground now. So we will be using a block tool again because it's just much simpler. Going nice and dark again. Do you know what? I actually need to extend that slightly. And because I have, oops, I'm going to sponge it because it looks far too smooth now. So take our colours that we used earlier and we'll just really give it a different textured look to it. Right, okay. So I'm actually noticing on my reference picture there are actually two lines, so let's stay true to our source material and just stabilize it. Take the edge off that. And we'll sponge it again. Remember to change the colour. There. I'm happy with that. It's not perfect, but we're not achieving perfection here. It's just a way of showing you how I do it, the way I do it. Simple backgrounds for more complex pictures. So now we're going to go. We're actually going to go lighter this time. The idea is that you become darker as you get closer to the foreground, but it doesn't always work that way, considering where the light's falling and what is actually on the surface. And in this case, because we're not using colour, we've got a tier, not a tier one, look at the plane here is filled with trees, so they're absorbing a lot of the light, whereas this land is a hilltop that is bathed in sunlight, really. Well, it's a bit overcast, but you know what I mean. And what we did here before, we created a fence. Actually, we'll use that one. Nice dark colour. And we also want our stabilizer again. And we're going to create a fence line. Oops. Try that again. No, too thick. Shrink that down a little. There we go, perfect. I tend to find that it's easier to start at the top and work your way down rather than the bottom and work your way up, because for some strange reason it's very difficult to control the thickness, and this, you get this effect. It's like a teardrop effect. If you do it the other way around, it'll end up with thicker at the top than at the bottom, which doesn't usually make sense. So we'll join these together. Oh, you see, that happens because you end up pressing down too hard. You get that effect. Let's see if I can see. I'm not pressing down any harder at all, and it seems to be getting thicker. Not much I can do about it. If anybody who's watching this video knows how to stop that from happening, I would greatly appreciate it, because it does tend to annoy me slightly. Okay, that'll do. We're not going for perfection. Progress, not perfection. That's what we're after. So we're going to zoom in now and shrink this down. Oops. That was the wrong button. Again, I'm going to scroll manually because for some strange reason that middle click isn't working. Maybe a bit too bright. I'm going for a little bit of oh, again, I'm forgetting where my light source is coming from. I would say it's coming from this end, given where the shadows were placed on the buildings earlier. So just add a little bit of light to the right hand side. And at the top, yeah, that'll do. And again, because I really dislike hard edges, picking up colour from the background, but that's not too bad. Yeah, it'll do. So again, we're going to get our sponge tool, pick us a nice dark colour. Oh, do you know what I haven't done? I haven't blurred the horizon. Let's do that now before we go any further. There I am doing it for the fence panels and I'm not doing it for the horizon. There's a horrible distinction of different shades right there, and I just think it looks awful. don't need to worry about too much about this side because it's pretty much going to get covered up. So, where were we? Sponge tool. It's far too big. Again, we're just breaking up the texture now. Use my favourite tool. Move it bigger. And then maybe we'll use this one. That's a good way of breaking up our horizon. That grass blade tool, quite handy. But you've got to be careful how you use it because it does create straight lines which you really don't want. You'll find straight lines of blades of grass just look silly. And while we're here, we'll create some sort of effects. So this is what I mean. I'm creating straight lines here, and it doesn't look right. The thing about this tool is if you do go, you'll get that effect if you go around, so I'm going to be careful there. I think that'll do for now. Right, so our next tier will be quite a light one actually. And while we have this tool, let's actually use it to create our next tier. Plane, and we'll get the words right eventually. And we'll start here, and we're working up to here. Actually looks quite good, so maybe we can add a little bit of yeah, I like that. Okay, so we've got this tool. Don't worry about that. And now we're going to create ours another building. And again, where's our light source coming from? So we're going to go quite dark here. And I might, if I can get away with doing this freehand, I'll try. Nice tall building, I think. I'll make it a little bit taller. I must get the angles right. This is something I'm always rubbish at doing. So that's our shaded side. We'll shade it in now. Make it all bigger, it'll be easier. Oops. Didn't quite work out what I wanted. And then we'll go for a lighter side where we need to go maybe a little bit lighter, stand out from the sky, and come straight down. the rudimentary shapes again. Oops. Perhaps I should have used the weighted tool. It's very good for what to do. In case anybody's wondering, I'm using a Wacom pad. So I'm not actually drawing on a screen, I'm drawing on a pad whilst looking at the screen, and it can be quite disorientating really. And we're going to create like a step effect at the top, like so. So I'm going to need that colour again. Straighten that up a bit. There we go. Right, so while we're here, we'll add this window there. Let's have one here too. There we go. And we want, I think we'll use the circle tool for this one. I need to create a line. I'm going to get this wrong, I know I am. Oh no. There. To there. To there. Oh, not too bad. I know it looks a mess, but it will get tidied up. And then the effect of crenellation, which, in case you're wondering, is turrets. Battlements, some people might call it, but the real name is crenellation. And if you're interested, this section that is solid, it's called a merlon. So there we go. So we created our tower. I know it looks pretty awful at the minute. Bear with me. So we're going to destroy that smooth texture because it looks awful, in my opinion. So we'll get our old sponge tool out again, start shading. The only way to go on the dark side is to get the black on it. Again, I know we've gone over the edge, but that's fine. Put a new shade down at the bottom. There we go. Oops. And now what we can use is the raking tool, which I quite like using because it gives you, it can give you like a dripping effect, if you like. So we comb downwards. See, we've got dripping off the window there. Not too bothered about it on that pattern there. And now we want our smoothing. What is this tool? I can't actually remember. We get some good effects with this tool. I like to use it to smooth out that bit there. Blend the two together. As I said, we can tidy this up just by doing this. Oops. I feel like I'm making a bit of a mess of that, but never mind. fact, I think we will use the colour blender. Get rid of those hard edges. Hard edges are for cartoons. We'll leave the old scraping spatula type thing here. Yeah, just to tidy that edge up. And then, if I ever do another one of these videos, I will sort out my favourites tools, because it's annoying trying to find what you like in amongst it all. Okay, there we go. Not perfect, but as we say, progress not perfection in this case. And I am very much out of practice. There, that should do it. Yeah, gives us a nice tower effect. And now, cover it in bushes. So, around the bottoms of it. It's a way of, it really is a way of just cheating, I suppose. I'm going to just create a lot of bushes around it so that I don't have to add too much detail at the base. Using a real nice and simple tool. Be careful, yeah, that's what I was worried about. When you zoomed in too much and you miss out. So we're going to have a hedge line here. And we're going to go very dark here. Double edged, double line of hedges, bushes, whatever you want to call them, shrubbery. So we've got a nice two-tiered effect there. And again, I'm going to put in some trees, I think. So I don't want to go too dark. So we'll have one here. Oh, that's far too thick for what I had in mind. And we'll have one here. Again, don't worry too much about destroying all your hard work. That's just the way things are. Things are always hidden behind things. And we'll have one here, and we'll have one here. And we'll go back to my favourite tool. I'm going to create, I'm not sure what sort of trees these are, I'm not big on my trees. But they're trees. I think these do need to be a little bit darker around the branches. Oops. Like they're swaying in the wind slightly now. So we'll go get ourselves a nice real black colour. And just at the core of them, just where the trunk would be. give them a little line there. And then the trunks themselves, I'm not happy with those, so let's go. Where's our paintbrush? So out there, that'll do. Oh, wrong button. Just give them a little bit of a dark into them. Scrub it in there a little bit. Okay, and then I think we'll have a little bit of a highlight around the edges. Now, shall I use a sponge tool for this? Yeah, it's not a bad effect. So where the lights would shine through the thinnest point of the trees, where there's not so much dense foliage, so just around the edges there. Maybe a little bit. Oops. No, I'm not happy with that effect. Maybe if I was to just, yeah. Just that whole effect of breaking up the texture. Yeah. I can live with that. Oh, noticing that if the light's coming from this direction, we want more light on this side of the tree, and then we need a bit of darkness here, don't we? Yeah. Bit of shadow. And so for the last part, this is where, when I did it originally, I cheated quite a lot. I was hoping to have a person standing in the foreground, but I'm very much out of practice, so I've got no chance of doing that. So we're going to have a nice light colour, and we'll go with our grass tool again. Make it nice and big. Just go straight over like that. Yeah, that saved time, didn't it? And oops, need to make that bigger. A bit more of effect. We could even use this one. Oops, certainly not that size. No, not happy with that. Actually, I'm not happy with that at all, so let's not use that one. And oops, we'll go for a darker colour. Nope, that's not right. And we'll just play around. And there we have it. It's not perfect. No, I'm not the best artist in the world. I'm sure people could do this much better, but at the end of the day, this was a technique to show you how to do a simple background, really. So you get the gist of it. I mean, if I could work on it for a lot longer and make it better, I could use a better reference picture than something that I drew years ago. I could add colour. I could add stuff on the foreground better, but to give you an idea that you're stood on a hill, bathed in the sunshine, and staring out at maybe a city in the background, a castle, maybe. I would say that looks like a city in the background with a church next to me, or a tower. Maybe it's a watchtower. Who knows? And the way the trees are bending slightly, maybe the wind's blowing. Maybe if I follow that path there, it'll lead me to it. Who knows? But yeah, that's a simple drawing. I might do more of these if this turns out quite well. So, yeah, thank you for watching if you have been watching. And I'll do a new video soon. Okay, bye bye.